Good evening, everybody, and welcome. My name is Shannon Rose McAuliffe, and I'm the manager of the Student Arts Programs here at MIT. I'm also joined by my colleague, Stacy DeBartolo. Do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. My name is Stacy DeBartolo, and I do finance and operations for the arts at MIT, and I'm also the manager of the Student Art Association.
So both Stacy and I work with a lot of these really fantastic and engaged members of the MIT arts programs. Stacy and I will be co-hosting this event this evening. I'll have to be leaving a little bit early because I'm also hosting another event. So Stacy and I will be tossing the talking stick back and forth. But in the meantime, before we get underway, I'd like to remind everybody here that this event is being recorded and it may be made publicly available on the Arts on the Radar website or elsewhere in the future. So if you don't wish to appear in the recording, please make sure that your video and your audio are muted during the event. And you can always feel free to contact us at artsontheradar@mit.edu if you have any questions or concerns about this. So moving right along, thank you all so much for being here this evening. We're really excited to hear from this quite estimable panel of students and recent alums who have been deeply involved in the arts at MIT. These students are some of the most active and engaged members of this hustling and bustling arts community. Their interests span music, dance, visual arts, journalism, sort of anything you can think of. So this evening, we've got Ethan Nevedomski moderating our panel. Ethan's a junior and he's majoring in comparative media studies and computer science and engineering. He's also an arts scholar. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Ethan to get things rolling.
So hi everyone, it's nice to see you all. And so we're going to be going through, and obviously thanks for joining us. We're going to start today the evening with Julia. Each member is going to get 5 minutes, and at the end we'll have a Q&A. So feel free, if you have something that comes to you, you can probably drop it in the chat, but just remember there'll be time for questions, so no need to interrupt while people are presenting. With that, let's go to Julia. What do you have for us?
Cool. Well, hi everyone, I'm Julia Chatterjee. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering, or course 2. I'm currently in the process of moving into this windowless room in Cambridge with my old floor mates from my dorm, so that's been fun. But I guess a little bit about me and arts at MIT. Before I got to MIT, I wouldn't say I was super involved with the arts. Fashion was always something that really interested me, but I deemed it a frivolous, hobby, I guess. And I definitely thought there'd be zero conversation about it at a place like MIT, and I was definitely wrong about that. But anyways, I was really lucky that I found myself in the freshman arts seminar ran by Stacy, because I learned about so many arts opportunities at MIT that I had no idea existed. To name a few, the lending, the SLAP, which is, they're not doing it this year, but you get to take home pieces of art, and I've done it for the past 2 years. The ceramic studio, the glass blowing studio, I got access to arts classes over IIP for free that everyone else had to pay like $100 for. So that was super cool. And also through that seminar, I learned about fashion opportunities that I got involved with my freshman year and have been involved with ever since. So one is the Trash and Show, which is an annual fashion show put on by the Undergraduate Association on Sustainability, and it features garments made of upcycled materials from designers all over the Boston community. And if you look up MIT Trash and Show on YouTube, there's a video featuring me, but also really cool designs that you should definitely check out. And last winter, I guess, I was the project lead for it, so I got to reach out to a lot of cool designers, and it was super cool to see dresses made of wires and trash bags, and I feel like the events gained popularity in the past years. I believe it will have some virtual form this winter as well, so be on the lookout for that. But the other thing I got really involved in was the Infinite magazine, which is MIT's fashion and design publication. And when I first joined my freshman year, I really had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have much graphic design experience, but I just always knew that the magazine was something that I wanted to be a part of, and every semester I just felt like I needed to contribute. So since my freshman year, I've knit a bra for that magazine and made earrings out of fruit, and now I'm the editor-in-chief for this issue, so I'm super excited about that. We're making another virtual issue. And I did want to share my screen to show what I made this past issue 6. Cool. So what I ended up doing is I initially, when we were like still on campus in January, like I just knew I wanted to make pants, but I didn't know why. And then when I got home, like because of quarantine and MIT closing, I found all these really cool fabrics in my closet and decided that as a reaction to this one size fits all, like everyone leave and everybody put on a mask situation that we were just thrown into, I made one size fits all pants. And I had everyone I was quarantining with, or my friend who wasn't seeing anyone, model them. And so this is my sister's boyfriend, and then that's my friend. And then my dad also got in on the fun. But I wanted to show this because, as I mentioned, we're making another virtual issue this fall. And I found that making when you're in a virtual world is like something that I found really therapeutic. And I always felt like I was really unproductive when I was quarantining or isolating. And so making things was a way to show that like I was doing something with my time and doing something that I enjoyed. So if you're interested in joining, follow us on Instagram at Infinite Magazine, and we'll be posting about an info session that we'll be hosting soon. Yeah, and I guess going forward at MIT and getting involved with the arts, I definitely like don't want to dismiss fashion as I did before I got here, because there's so much research in fashion, whether it's CSAIL doing robotic knitting or like Course 3 doing spacesuits. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Okay. That was really nice. Thanks. So moving on. Sorry, give me a second. My stuff is also acting up. Yeah. So moving on. Next, we'll be going to Chucho. Are you ready to present?
Yeah. Hello,
Okay,
everyone.
great. Take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Chucho Campo. I'm an artist and an architect. I am a second year now at ACT, in the ACT program. And well, I'm here in Cambridge right now. And well, I think that the question is quite good. What is it like to be an artist inside of MIT? I think it's a huge I think it's a huge privilege, and it's a very fun thing to be, because I think, and maybe I can speak in regards of ACT students as well, it's like we as artists tend to play with a lot of things and are very curious about a lot of things that happen, especially inside the institution. So being here means you get to play with a lot of these things, and you get to collaborate as well with a lot of very, very interesting people. So I'll say like that first of all, that's kind of, I think the main or the most attractive thing is being surrounded by so many people that are very much willing to share ideas and just collaborate. And they kind of lending also some of the tools and the things they are developing, and it's back and forth, which is super interesting, especially like being an artist that makes stuff, and it's also inside, in between architecture, media lab, ACT. It has a very interesting, I think, space inside of MIT, which I think it's super fun. Another amazing thing, it's I think the support and the funding MIT offers, especially Arts at MIT, and all of the grants that are available are super precious for production, which makes prototyping and making possible, and that's not very common in my experience. So being inside this place and also having the resources available makes it like completely different experience. And also programs such as like the residency program that Arts at MIT has, that also relates to ACT, or MISTI, that also offers certain things for artists as well. And yeah, I think overall, I don't have like a specific project. I think I like for the past year, I have been surrounded in this crazy environment, but also felt very much supported, not just financially, but also like by this really incredible array of people and facilitators. I think that's it.
Okay, great. And you were also working on a collaborative project with RT, right?
Yes. I think Arti can jump in.
Great. Yeah, feel
one
free
of
to talk together or just let her take over.
one of these things, especially, I mean, obviously when you're inside this, as I was saying, like if you're inside, you're being supported, you're building things, and then COVID hit, of course, it changed a lot of things. So I think most of us had to shift media or medium and shift towards more digital platforms or software or other types of supports. And that got us, we realized we were working in very similar ideas altogether. So we decided to collaborate and make a project, all of our cohort together. And maybe Arti can talk a little bit more about that. So I don't. You're muted, Arti.
You're muted right now.
Sorry, yeah. So I'm going to quickly share screen and talk over that so that it's have an idea of what exactly we were doing. So
I'm also sharing the link of the webpage in the chats, so you can also go through it.
so this is something which, as Chucho said, we are 5 of us in our cohort, and we decided that what happened, I mean, we had a very good rapport with each other, and then we suddenly were in different places without the kind of support that we give each other, which is very important for us with our own projects. And we decided that we would have to find a way to work together regardless of location. And we came upon this idea of putting together, came off the Exquisite Corpse kind of general conceptual framework, which is to be able to put together different kinds of material and to construct something out of bits and pieces of multiple things. I mean, whatever it is, whoever brings to the table. So that was this. So each of us sort of modeled particular landscapes, modeled particular items. Maybe it was a room, maybe it was a walk, maybe it was an object, and we converted them to models with which we could sort of push and pull and deconstruct and mix and put together. And we sort of created fictional landscapes, which each of us were very embodied. I mean, we were looking for an embodied kind of relationship with these landscapes. So the link is in the website, in the chat, and you can take a look at it. It's just a couple of worlds, so to speak, and you can navigate through it and sort of experience sound. You can experience certain kinds of texts, maybe things that we were writing on, the kind of movement we were interested in. So this is something which was, this is the beginnings of, I think, a very long-term collaboration between the 5 of us. And all these lines that you see here are also the traces that people have left, the kind of movement people have created over time. So this is that. And so I'm just going to stop sharing right now.
I think if I can jump in, I think it's interesting to know, coming back to the idea of MIT and how it informs what we do. This comes also from from some of the experience we had before with an XR class on AR photogrammetry, and we're just kind of taking these ideas, which could be very technical sometimes, and we're just kind of mixing them and making our own type of exercises. We kind of mix matching of these things, and we're creating our own method of collaging, you could say, which is kind of what the role of ACT is, more or less. No?
Yeah, no, definitely. It was a very interesting collaboration because, and it also, I mean, very it was the beginning. I think it's solidified the beginnings of a very long-term collaboration. We're already working, thinking of next projects, thinking of how CAMIT can help fund our next projects, because we now are bursting with ideas. And that's something which I think we were very privileged to receive from CAMIT, from TSI, which is Transmedia Storytelling Initiative, which we're all a part of now. So yeah, I mean, I didn't introduce myself though. I'm Aarti Sundar. I'm in Cambridge. I've been here since the start of COVID. I never left. I was threatening to leave, but I never left. Um, and yeah, I mean, I largely work with film. In the last year, I've been working with film. So one of the things that was really good for me was to be able to pull out of art in order to come back to art. So I was able to take classes across MIT and Harvard. I mean, Harvard I'm just trying now, but across MIT, say for instance, in DUSP, which is the media study, and STS, labor department. It was something which was very crucial for my exploration of work and practice as an artist. And this is something which I think I would encourage. If anyone would want to join as an artist in MIT, I would really encourage that, which is to be able to look across departments, look across campuses, and take things which you may not think that can help you, but then it sort of opens up a lot of ideas, simply because you have experts in multiple fields who are really willing to drop everything and help, the moment you ask for a question. I mean, it's something which is something which I've been able to bank on, which I hope that if there's an artist and who's interested in all, I mean, I just think it's a good space to be in, and I hope that works for everyone who comes in as well. So yeah, that's basically it. If there's anything I missed out, then you can ask me.
If you want to, you can talk more about your next project. You said you were working on a new collaboration.
Yeah, so we're looking at, okay, we just had a meeting today, but should I say?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so we're looking at publishing now. We're looking at what how we can convert this kind of online first-person interaction, almost like a gaming interaction, into a sort of a publication space. What would it mean? What kind of images are we talking about? Because one of the things is online engagement, but I think after 3 days of Zoom, I think all of us have sort of are yearning for a book, yearning for pages at some level. So we're looking at what kinds of printing we're interested in, what kinds of images we would like to take offline, what kind of 2D, maybe pop up, maybe we don't know, but what kind of publishing platforms that are maybe online, or maybe it's a hybrid, we're not quite sure. But I think we're going to be jumping into making books, whether it's doing it, say like an artist book, or doing it as something which can be printed by in bulk. I mean, we're not quite sure yet, but we're looking at what would it mean to publish in a hybrid format? What does that even mean? Do we have books online? Do we have books offline? So that's where our mind is going. And how do we build on this fictional landscapes that we've created? How do we convert that into something which is potentially offline as well, analog as well? So that's where we are.
That's really cool. Well, keep us posted. I'm sure everyone's looking forward to it. Okay, and then next up we have Danny and Alman. Danny and Al, my bad. Both on the same screen with the really cool background. So feel free to unmute yourself and present.
Hello, I'm Alan. And I'm Danny. So we both are recently graduated from MIT, and our majors were computer science and comparative media studies. And we're currently both in Florida right now. So looking back, back in high school, we were always interested in various forms of arts, from like animation and different fiber arts, painting, things like that. And we were kind of worried that at MIT we wouldn't be able to pursue those different forms of art, but we were, throughout our course at MIT, we actually were happily and unexpectedly able to pursue all of those different forms of art that we were hoping to. So we can show some of the projects that we worked on. So I'm gonna share my screen. So first I'll talk about the very first art project that we did at MIT, and then Danny's going to talk about the last one that we did right before graduating. So this is a project we completed in our freshman IEP for this it kind of popped up out of nowhere. It was called Open Mind, Open Art. We saw flyers advertising it in the student center, and we thought it was like a really cool opportunity to make art during our freshman IEP. So we decided to join that project. The goal of it was to, for 10 student artists to create their own projects revolving around the theme of mental health and wellness. The project was funded by the Mind, Hand, Heart initiative. And what we really liked about this project, and it was also like kind of a community of people by the end of the IEP. It was really collaborative, and everything was pretty open-ended. Like, we had this general theme about mental health and wellness, but besides that, everyone could take their projects in whichever direction they wanted to. So there were people who made clay sculptures, people who made paintings, someone wrote poetry, and what we decided to do was make this fiber arts piece. So we were really interested in various forms of fiber arts in high school, like knitting, sewing. So we wanted to kind of take that a step further. So what we basically did for this piece is sewed a bunch of little pieces of fabric together, specifically felt, to create this like series of 6 faces. And the idea behind this was to kind of, for the viewer to empathize with the faces that we depicted here. And we also kind of made this little wordplay. The title of this piece is stitched together. So that kind of has this double meaning because the piece is literally stitched together out of these pieces of fabric, but we also kind of wanted to evoke this feeling that everyone kind of has either shared struggles or shared experiences and can relate to each other, even if not initially evident. So yeah, that was this experience. It was overall really fun, and we were really happy that we were able to pursue this interest in fiber arts at MIT in our freshman year. Yeah, so then moving forward, also in our freshman year, actually, started by a few upperclassmen called Borderline, which for those not familiar, Borderline is a student group on campus that's responsible for the murals in the tunnels of MIT's campus. And the murals aren't just flat images, they also have an augmented reality component to them. So if you put your phone over them, you'll see an animation playing. And this club kind of started, it was in our freshman spring as well. And then ever since then, we both joined the organizing team of the club and have kept it running ever since, along with a lot of other really great students who have contributed to the club, both on an organizational level and on an actual art creation and animation creation level. So this group kind of started off as just this project that I think it was initially just intended to be 1 semester long, but then it just kept on growing and people just kept on being interested in it. And it then became an official. This most recent project that we did before graduating was a project that we did with members of the Borderline community, where some of our members decided to, after getting sent home, we wanted to find a way to still create art together and connect. So what they did was they created this website, like that was supposed to be a virtual recreation of the tunnels, where students can submit drawings of their quarantine rooms. And the drawings can be really creative, so it doesn't necessarily have to be like normal room, but it could be imaginative. So this is just a scroll through of the website. And then our particular contribution to this project was that we added, since in the true borderline fashion, I think the screen is loading. Oh, okay, there it is. But yeah, the video is loading. But anyways, in true borderline fashion, we didn't just want the images to be just flat pictures. We wanted to also add an AR component to the website as well. So Glenn and I worked on animating some of the CPW campus preview weekend had just been canceled for the incoming freshmen. We also wanted to have the animations have a little welcome message to the students that were unfortunately not able to visit campus. So it was both a way for students who are currently here to connect with each other, but also a way to kind of reach out to students who are newly admitted. Virtual workshops for animation, the way that we typically would do in a normal semester. And it was just something that initially, I think when we first had to go off campus, we just thought that Borderline wasn't really going to be able to do much, since so much of what we do is physically like on campus. Our wall of murals is in the tunnels, and a lot of the other projects that we've done have had to be very much like on campus, but we were able to find this creative way to create art and connect with each other despite all of that. And yeah, and then I guess one of the other points that we wanted to touch on is, I guess, what we're working on now. So since quarantine, and we've been home in Miami, we're trying to find different ways to continue learning and expanding and growing artistically. So recently, something that we've been doing is trying to learn new skills like 3D modeling. So we've just been following, there's a lot of free resources online through like YouTube tutorials and things like that. So that's kind of what we've been up to now. And it's been a really cool way to learn new things and kind of expand our art making possibilities.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, looking forward to seeing that too. 3D modeling is really cool. I think I've been trying to get into it, but it's really tough. So exciting to see how it goes. Okay, and then last but obviously not least is Joy. Joy, are you ready to present?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Okay, great. So a little bit about me. I'm Joy. I am a junior in courses 6, 14, and 18, and I just declared my music minor last week, so that's happening. I'm currently in California, and I'm here kind of repping the more music and dance side of arts on campus. So I guess the most important part of my campus, like arts life, I guess, would be that I'm the public relations director as well as a traditional choreographer for the Asian dance team on campus. And I will touch upon that a little bit more later. I'm also the ensemble director for MIT Cello World, which is the cello ensemble. And we just started the organization last fall, so we're still relatively new. And it's meant to be like Cello World, as in like Hello World. And the cello ensemble, like the performing ensemble's name is called Cello Plus Plus, shortened to C++, which I think is cute. I'm also an art scholar run by Shayro, who is absolutely awesome. And my freshman year, I played for 2 semesters in the MIT Symphony Orchestra. And my sophomore year, I played for a semester in the MIT Chamber Music Society. And I played piano and cello, mostly cello at school. And I actually wanted to kind of bring up an exciting initiative that's happening this fall. So Cello World is collaborating with Ribotones, which is MIT's community service music group. And we're starting a thing called the Muse Project, which obviously like MIT loves acronyms. So that stands for Music Unites Songs for Equity. And it serves to kind of highlight the work of Black and BIPOC, just BIPOC in general, composers in the classical music scene. So that's going to be happening. We're all going to be like recording from home and audio mixing and video editing. And they will be released as like kind of a series of videos just to highlight the diversity that normally doesn't get highlighted in the classical music world. So that's kind of all the stuff that I'm involved in on campus, a lot of music and dance things. And I just wanted to share my screen really quick and kind of show you some of the things that ADT has been doing, Asian Dance Team has been doing throughout quarantine, because obviously dance is kind of like a, how do you do that during quarantine kind of thing. So really quick, this was pre-quarantine ADT. All right. So this is pre-quarantine ADT. These were some of our like very professionally filmed and edited and put together covers. Some of these we've submitted to like big cover competitions online, and most of the people you will see in these videos came to MIT as absolutely no background in dance. They were beginners. So it's always really gratifying as a choreographer to see everyone grow. So that was pre-quarantine ADT. And I was actually in the second to last video there. I was in the back. But that video we filmed 9 takes from before sunset to after sunset, which is how you saw the color of the sky change, which I thought was fun. And this is quarantine ADT. So in quarantine, ADT is still doing a full set list. Nothing is changing. All of our rehearsals are held asynchronously now, and we also have just like on your own time auditions where you just send us videos of you dancing. And to kind of pub for the auditions, we made this cute little kind of like a viral K-pop challenge of this song that just dropped. And I think it's like #1 on the pop charts right now or something. It's kind of a big deal. So this is, we had choreographers film all the videos separately and we just edited it together, and I think it's really cute. Yeah. So that is what's going on in my life, and that is how I am still trying to do arts in quarantine.
Great. Well, now that everybody has given their little spiel, it was great hearing from everybody. We can open the floor to questions. We don't have too much time. We got 5 minutes, but if anybody has anything, feel free to go ahead, everyone. And also if anybody in the panel has any questions for anybody else, feel free to go ahead too. It's nice to have some crosstalk, but if nobody directly has anything, I think some people talk directly about this, but if anybody else wants to talk towards how Corona has affected their art and like how they think they've like changed or kind of addressed it within their art. I don't know if anybody has any specific answers, but it's a thing I think a lot about in terms of like the art world and how it's not just kind of affecting individuals, which is normally how like crises happen, but should be reflected across, I think, everyone.
I think in a way there's at least in ACT, what I'm seeing, for example, this semester, is that a lot of classes are turning their heads towards the outside and the city and outside experiences. And I mean, obviously for practical reasons, but also like, how do we continue artistic research, for example, which is what ACT does? How do we continue as artistic research and knowledge? Like, how do we keep on giving knowledge without the facilities? So this semester is super interesting. If you take a look at the subjects, most of them are either choreographing things in the city, walking, thinking about like the outside, not just the city, but like in general. So I think that it changed. I mean, it's like super positive kind of adaptation. It changed very quickly. So I think that's one of really nice things we could get, at least.
It's nice to hear. Yeah, you got to find the silver linings and everything. See that? Anyone else?
Yeah, something I've noticed is that I've just gotten like more excited about making do with what I have and like seeing how I can get creative with that. Like the pants I showed, I guess, or just like viewing items that I have already in a new light and turning them into something has, instead of like going to buy supplies, has like influenced my art, and I honestly think like made it more interesting and more fruitful.
I think I saw someone in the audience unmute themselves. I'm not sure if you had a question or if that was accidental.
I do have a question, actually. I wonder how much everyone's process has changed in the context of maybe your process isn't as private anymore, right? Like when you had facilities, you could go into a space, work on your craft, and decide when to showcase what you're working on. Whereas like now, maybe we're forced in environments, whether it's outdoors or in a house with somebody else, where you have to go through the whole process from conception to, refinement in a less private setting. And I wonder how that's impacted, if at all, people's process and experience.
I mean, I can speak a little to that. One of the things which we took a decision in our cohort in ACT was that we would isolate within ourselves. So we decided that we would make sure that we saw each other, and we found a way to quarantine only with each other so that we could continue. I mean, it was very important for us to work together. So, and what happened with Corona was that it sort of accelerated that process of trying to, because at some point we only had each other, and that really made, I mean, that also accelerated the process of collaboration, accelerated the process of how do we work together, why are we working together, and what is the importance of going offline and online, being able to straddle both spaces with equal forms of engagement, equal level of engagement, and the same intensity and complexity. So it's something which I agree with Chucho in the sense that the classes shifted. I think the turning point for the classes shifting was when Trump made that announcement, and then suddenly everyone's panicking. But that once he resigned, I mean, that sort of went off the table. The idea of trying to go offline did not go off the table, which was something very good. And that, I mean, in many ways, it's worked for the better for a lot of us. Of course, there are, I mean, shop access, equipment, these things are always a problem. But we have to negotiate that on a one-to-one basis. But in terms of interaction, to be honest, I think it brought us a lot closer with each other, because at some point we realized that we have to create a community in a completely different space altogether now, because different things are at stake.
Great. Thanks so much. Unfortunately, this was really great, but I think that's all of the time we have. I think Stacy has a quick plug for the gallery tour, and then we can wrap up.
Yes, so our last of Arts on the Radar event for the evening is a gallery tour of Misalignments, and it's 2 Masters of Architecture students who did their exhibition in the online Wiesner Student Art Gallery. And so they created a series of gallery rooms that each kind of illuminated a different aspect of their robotically fabricated ceramics. And so I will put the Zoom room number in the chat right now, but I hope that you guys can all join us in there, because I think it'll be a really interesting talk. And I hope to see you all soon.
Great.
So there comes the number in the chat.
Thanks so much, everyone. It was so good to see you all. Have a nice night.
Thank you, everyone.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cutting across the archive, from photo montage to digital folklore. This advanced photography course is designed for students who wish to explore photography, images, and archives as tools and resources for artistic practices. The course focuses on the use of archival images and photographic practices while encouraging students to explore analog, digital, and new technologies. Through lectures, readings, film screenings, student-driven projects, visiting artist presentations, and critic sessions, students experiment with a range of artistic strategies while engaging in cross-disciplinary research and working on collaborative and individual assignments. Across a diverse spectrum of themes and historical contexts, students read and discuss theoretical texts related to the use of archives and artistic practices. Advanced Video and Related Media. This course introduces advanced strategies of image and sound manipulation, both technical and conceptual. We'll cover everything from pre-production planning, storyboards, and scripting, through the refinement of digital editing techniques, visual effects such as chroma keying, post-production, as well as audio and sonic components. Context is provided by regular viewings of contemporary video artworks and other audiovisual formats. Video installation is a contemporary and expanding art genre that intersects with the world of architecture, engineering, programming, new media, and performance practices. In this intermediate to advanced course, students are encouraged to expand the current themes and methods within their art or research practices by experimenting with various video installation strategies, such as video mapping to 3D objects, site-specific architectural projects, multi-channel projection environments, mixing moving image content with live performance, wearable sculptures, live feeds, physical computing, or other elements of interest.